Hello, faithful, and welcome to the 49ers Plus podcast. I'm Al Moriello, and this is your source for the most objective 49ers discussion. Only smart takes, never any clickbait. And today we're going to be discussing just how good Brock has been since coming back from the toe injury part 2. We're going to be looking at some stats comparing Brock to Caleb, and then jumping into the 49er-Bears preview Sunday night, tomorrow night, on NBC, giving some keys to the game, some stats, and a prediction. So let's jump right in. Coming off of that very quiet 5-touchdown performance against the Colts on Monday night, where there was no national media flower givings or any sort of praise being heaped on Brock in terms of lighting up the Colts defense, albeit a bad pass defense, for 5 touchdowns in a nationally televised game. I went in and dug up some stats just to show how good Brock has been this season. Now, obviously, the interceptions, he hasn't thrown one in a couple games, nor have the 49ers punted in a couple games either, could be a cause of concern because they come in bunches. And on the season, I believe he is 17 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in this, I believe it's 7 games that he's played. So since returning from injury, Brock leads the NFL in completion percentage, quarterback rating, and QBR. Again, ESPN's mystifying more than just passing, yards, touchdowns, interceptions, completion percentage, a more holistic quarterback metric. In addition, 47% of Brock's passes result in a first down. Now, that number is under 50%, so it may not seem like a super impressive number to you. But what if I told you that that was the highest rate in the past 35 years? 47% of passes resulting in a first down. And again, he is not as much of a check down passer as Mac Jones is. Brock is pushing the ball down the field more, and you've seen McCaffrey's receptions, for the most part, lessen under Brock than under Mac, which is fine. The only thing that's going to hurt McCaffrey is he's not going to be getting 1,000 receiving yards. He would need 75 receiving yards in each of the next 2 games to get it, which I don't think he's going to. Over 1,000 already rushing, which is totally fine. He should end up close to 900 thereabouts. But not only with these completion percentage and QBR, but Brock now currently has the highest quarterback passer rating of all time with a minimum of 1,000 passes. His quarterback rating is 104.4, number 1 all time. Efficiency, I get it, and we all should get it now. Being efficient isn't sexy. Being efficient isn't what gets you on SportsCenter. Being efficient isn't what goes viral, whether it's fans or media members or anyone in between cutting up clips and putting it on social media for engagement. But I think we all can say that we've seen Brock do the same sort of things to a lesser athletic degree than a Josh Allen, a Caleb Williams, a Baker Mayfield, right? Quarterbacks that have some movement ability with them. But those quarterbacks will get much more of the notoriety because there is draft bias. I don't know how rampant the draft bias is, but it's there, right? It's there. And we're going to go over some stats now comparing Brock to Caleb Williams. And I'm not one of those 49er fans that's insecure and has to find something good about my team or my players to feel better about myself as a fan when looking at another team. I don't give a shit. And I don't necessarily cherry pick stats either. But Brock Purdy is objectively, basically every measure, a better quarterback than Caleb Williams right now. Now, Caleb Williams may evolve into that, but he's not that now. And that's why I still have Brock ranked somewhere between 7 and 12 in terms of my own N of one personal quarterback rankings. And you could feel free to disagree. And a lot of people out there can disagree. And some people will say Brock Purdy's top 5. Let's not go nuts. Let's not go nuts. I remember talking with a fellow fan maybe sometime last year about, like, after Demo got his extension, and the person was like, oh, well, Demo's a top 5 corner in the league. I'm like, no, he's not. Not even close. Again, like, just because he got money doesn't mean wherever he ranks monetarily is where he is skill-wise. Demo is probably a top 12 to 20 corner in the league. And there's nothing wrong with that. And those type of players get paid. But going back to the Brock versus Caleb comparison, and there's no narrative out there. No one's comparing them right now. I don't really listen to Nick Wright or Skip Bayless. And of course, Grant Cohn is a complete cocksucker. And Jesse Naylor is just looking, for negatives to boost his engagement, although he's just, probably a really nice guy. But just a complete miserable fan and a troll. Let's go ahead and compare QBR. Brock 75.8, Caleb Williams 56.7. Big difference. Brock has played in half as many games, but algebraically, you would have to assume that whatever Brock has done in 7 games, he would do, the math would pan out, over 14 or 15. Quarterback rating, Brock at 102.1, Caleb 89.5. Completion percentage, Brock is ranked 4th in the NFL, 68.8. Caleb Williams is ranked 35th at 57.8%. To complete under, say, 63% of your passes in today's NFL is borderline egregious. And a 57.8% completion percentage would be good for the late 70s. Not now. And I'm not going to go so far as to say the Bears are winning in spite of Caleb Williams. That's not true. He's protecting the football. He's got, 20, I'm going to get this wrong, something like 25 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, something thereabouts. And Brock has 17 touchdowns to 8 interceptions in less time. So higher interceptions, obviously, right? But he would have more, you would assume, more touchdown passes than Caleb Williams if they played the same number of games. So here's what I want you guys to think about. And if it's Brock versus Caleb, or you're thinking about other quarterbacks, even with the interceptions, which were so much of a concern for a lot of the air quote fans and haters, and people were saying, well, they should pay Mac and trade Brock and this and that and quarterback controversy, blah, blah, wah, wah, nonsense. Even with the interceptions, since he's been back from the injury, he has the highest completion percentage, highest QBR, and those whole, first downs, 47% of his passes resulting in first downs. Has a 102.1 passer rating overall, including before he came back. A 75.8 QBR, which is top 5 in the league. Even when you take all of the negatives into account, still ridiculously efficient. And the quarterback metrics that are out there, even at EPA, expected over average, per play, Brock is number 1 in all quarterbacks, number 1 this year. You take the good with the bad, but here's the thing about the bad. It's not that bad. Didn't cost him the Carolina game. 3 interceptions is still 3 interceptions. That's bad. And then he's gone on a little bit of a tear since then. But when the bad is factored into everything else that goes into being a quarterback, Brock still nets out statistically as a top 5 quarterback. And the last one I didn't get into, the average yards per pass attempt. Brock is 8th at 7.8, Caleb 22nd at 6.9. So again, top 10 average, pushing the ball down the field. Have we seen the yak being that big of a deal this year? Not so much. Yards after catch, it's where Debo excelled. It's where Brandon Ayuk excelled. You're getting some from Kittle, and you'll get some from McCaffrey on, again, screens, check downs, whenever he's, in the pattern and making a reception. But that is not happening as frequently with Brock as it is with Mac. So objectively a better quarterback, right? You ask all 32 GMs, I'm sure the majority of them will take Caleb over Brock. But if you did one of those blinded comparisons where you put up stats, you didn't put up their height, their weight, their 40 time, their draft status, and you just put up statistically player A versus player B, and then you had GMs choose, they would obviously be choosing the quarterback that performs better. This is almost every aspect of life, job, school, whatever. It's a performance-based world that we live in, not a how far can you throw the ball? How big are you? How agile are you? What's your 40 time? Again, efficient isn't sexy, but that's okay because the Niners have the better quarterback. He might not be the better quarterback on Sunday. We'll see how the teams match up. We're going to get into that momentarily, but make no mistake about it. Brock Purdy, he might not be a more talented, physically gifted quarterback than Caleb Williams. That's a separate discussion and ranking, but he is a better overall quarterback than Caleb Williams, unless someone's got any data or eye test or anything to show me to prove otherwise. So now let's get into the game. Niners hosting the Bears Sunday night. The Niners are a 3-point favorite, which means on a neutral field, it's a push. And in Chicago, the Bears are a 3-point favorite. The over-under is at a healthy 52.5. Injuries for the Niners. Renardo Green, this lingering neck issue, he is out, which means Darrell Luter is going to be getting the start again. George Kittle, as we know, questionable, did not practice at all this week. Ricky Pearsall, questionable, had 3 limited participation practices this week. I think Kittle's going to be out. Now, he's a veteran. He could play without practicing. I just think everything that they ask of him, receiving, blocking, and I'm recording this early afternoon East Coast on Saturday. By the time you guys listen to this, or watch it, it may be announced that Kittle's playing or not, or Pearsall's playing or not. It seems like both will be game time decisions, but sometime today on Saturday, we'll know for sure, because if Kittle's out, they're going to have to promote Braden Willis from the practice squad. And I envision that happening sometime. Now, they could promote him and not play him, but I think they would also they have to consider bringing up Eli Apple again, because they're down Renardo Green, which means Chase Lucas will probably be a healthy scratch if they elevate Apple, just so you have another corner that can play outside. And if that's the case and something happens to Upton Stout, then Demo moves to the slot. But I think Kittle's out, and I'm going to say Pearsall better play. The offense has been going through, as I've been asking and saying, I've been asking this for the past couple of years. The offense goes through Kittle and McCaffrey now, without a bona fide number 1, without an Ayuk, and Pearsall's a number 2 at best. Right now, he could turn into a number 1, but he's not. With Kittle out, that's a bigger negative to the Niners than anybody that the Bears have out. We're going to get into that momentarily. So Pearsall better play. How effective he's going to be now, if Pearsall plays, then I think we can potentially all believe that any of that discussion about, well, for anyone to come back, they have to hit a certain mile per hour marker. If Pearsall plays, then that's kind of bullshit, because if you're only practicing in a limited fashion, I don't imagine you're getting that miles per hour testing in. I could be wrong. They may force Pearsall into playing if he's close And Shanahan's, oh, he's got a chance. Everybody's got a chance. Got a chance, got a chance. And Pearsall was close last week, just not close enough. I don't think he was close. If you're close, you're playing, right? How close do you have to be? What increments of decimal points of close makes it, oh, you're close enough? If you're close, you're playing. If you're far away, you're not. Can't use these proximity words and make it not sound a little bit like bullshit. You could just say he wasn't close, and everybody would be fine with that. Kittle's, to me, I think Kittle's going to be out. Braden Willis gets elevated, and I think Eli Apple is the other practice squad elevation. Eric Kendricks will stay on the practice squad. Curtis Robinson will be activated as the extra linebacker or the fifth linebacker against the Bears. Out for Chicago, cornerback Nick McLeod. He's a backup corner, so not a special teamer. Was on San Francisco's roster toward the end of last year. The biggest one is wide receiver Rome Odunze. He is out. He is their leading receiver, their leading big play receiver. I think is tied with DJ Moore for touchdowns. Big loss for Chicago. Nowhere near as big as Kittle for the Niners. I mean, Rome Odunze and Nick McLeod being out versus Renardo Green and George Kittle and maybe Ricky Pearsall, advantage Bears. Now, Chicago, like the Niners, 11-4, I think surprising a lot of people. In terms of strength of schedule, now going into the year, remember how, the Niners had, if it wasn't a top 1 or 2 or 3, somewhere about their easiest strength of schedules going into the season. As everything's panned out and played out, the Niners have one of the most difficult strength of schedules in the NFL, and the Bears with one of the easiest, top 4 easiest. Still got to win the games. You can still only play who's in front of you, but the Bears at 11-4, based on that strength of schedule ranking-ish that I kind of gave, ballparks, you have to then objectively say is not as impressive of an 11-4 San Francisco. And I'm not even sure how impressed I am with the Niners 11-4, given some of the teams they've beaten, but then you factor in the injuries they've had to deal with. We should all be kissing Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch and Robert Saleh's shoes for clinching the playoffs in week 14 or week 15, excuse me. And then having 2 games, or I guess it was week 16, technically game 15. I'm getting all the numbers, 18 weeks, 17 games, all that stuff. But clinching a couple weeks before the season ends, still having the NFC West in play and the number 1 seed in the conference in play. If you're going to be a miserable fan for any reason, if the Niners lose this game or the Seahawk game, and you're going to piss and moan about it, save it. Because this is a found money, house money situation that the Niners are in. But you want to take advantage, and it happens and starts, well, the next step of this journey is Sunday night. So Caleb Williams comes in, he's averaging 227 yards per game, 23 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So I got that. I should have looked down on my cheat sheet. He wasn't at 25-7, he's at 23-6. Running back DeAndre Swift is averaging 71 yards a game. He's on the cusp of 1,000 yards. Kyle Manangai is averaging 49 yards per game. He's got 5 touchdowns. DeAndre Swift, I think, has about 30-something receptions through the air. In terms of receivers, Rome Odunze, big loss. DJ Moore averaging 44.3 yards per game with 6 touchdowns. Colston Loveland, rookie tight end, 38 yards per game and 4 touchdowns. And rookie Luther Burden, 37 yards per game and 1 touchdown. Even without Rome Odunze, the Bears have weapons, and they have a trigger man who takes care of the football in terms of turnovers, but is a bit scattershot when distributing the football, under 58% completion percentage. Bears are going to move the ball. Bears are going to score points, right? Caleb may make some flashy or splashy throws, and the Niners are not going to get pressure. Remember, the Bears rebuilt their offensive line in the offseason, bringing in 2 or 3 new starters. That's given Caleb some decent protection. I don't anticipate, much like every other game, except for getting to Rivers twice last week, that the Niners are going to get much pressure on Caleb Williams, but they can force him to hold on to the ball a little bit longer, make a potential stupid decision, bad throw, inaccurate throw, because that's what Caleb Williams does, inaccurate throws. I don't want to hear anything about drops. Every quarterback experiences drops. If the drops get him up to 59% or 60%, then Brock would be at 70%, right? It's still, for Caleb, a low completion percentage in an offense that Ben Johnson is right up there with Kyle Shanahan in terms of scheming people open. Caleb just hasn't found that efficiency rhythm yet, and let's hope that he doesn't find it against the Niners. Now, defensively, team with 31 total sacks, led by Montez Sweat with 9.5. Let's hope he lines up more on Trent Williams' side than Colton McKivitz. The Bears turn the ball over, 21 interceptions on the season, a little more than one a game, obviously. Safety Kevin Byard has 6, and cornerback Nishan Wright has 5. Now let's look bigger picture at the Bears. The number 4 ranked offense in the NFL, averaging 371 yards a game. They're 14th passing, averaging 219. Second running the ball, 152 per game, and 10th in scoring, 25.8 points per game. On defense, this is where they slip. 24th overall, 348 yards per game given up. 18th against the pass, allowing 217 a game. 27th against the run, allowing 131, and 19th in points allowed, giving up 23.6 points a game. The biggest difference, the biggest delta and gap in anything statistically was with turnovers. The Bears are plus 21 in the turnover department. The Niners -4. That's a 25 turnover differential between the two teams. I've talked in other podcasts again about differences and deltas. Where do we see the bigger difference? Is it between the Bears offense and the Niner defense, or the Niner offense and the Bears defense? The Bears ranked higher in total offense. The Niners get them in passing offense. Bears win it in running offense, and the Niners win it in points scored. Niners have a better overall D. Bears have a better pass defense. Niners a better run defense, and Niners slightly better in points allowed. So that's a 5-3 difference when you take turnovers into account. 5-4 in favor of San Francisco. This is going to be a close game. And that was just a very obviously rudimentary difference in terms of who has the higher pass offense, run defense, points, etc. But I wanted to give you guys something in terms of discussing where these teams are. And, the rush offense is not close. The Bears are a top 2 team. That the Niners are in the late teens. Right? Pass offense, the Bears are 14th. The Niners are top 7. So pass defense, the Bears are 18th. The Niners are in the mid-20s. So there are some gaps and differences, but just in terms of how they match up, there are definitely check marks in each one of these teams' columns. Keys to the game for the Niners, the biggest one, because it's what the Bears do, turn over teams. Turn teams over, protect the football. Either the Niners can win the turnover battle or at least keep it even, 0-0, 1-1, 2-2. They'll have a good chance of winning this game. Brock can't be playing hero ball. Brock should be taking what's on the ground. I think the unfortunate thing is, even though the Niners run offense, the run defense looked really good against the Colts, only gave up less than 60 yards to Jonathan Taylor and company. The run defense for the Bears, while bad, allowing 131 a game, it's still going to be a struggle for San Francisco, right? Do I expect them to be going over 140 yards again? No. Over 110 would be nice. You could pepper in maybe some runs and picking up some first downs, or staying ahead of the sticks with Brock. If you can get between 20 and 30 yards, I think that's a win. Maybe another, say 20 to 30 from Brian Robinson, and McCaffrey, if he can be like 70 plus, I think that would be good if they can get over 125. Again, it just is going to help keep the Bears offense off the field. They're potent. When Caleb is on his game, they're potent and they can run the ball. So key number 2 is make Caleb beat you. Can he beat the Niners and can he beat other teams? Yes. But Caleb is going to have a better chance of beating the Niners if the running game is working. So making Caleb beat San Francisco, the inverse is not take the run away because the Niners are not going to be able to do it, but hold the Bears under their season average by a decent amount, which is what, 152 a game, I said? The last 2 times Ben Johnson has faced the Niners, the 2023 NFC Championship game, the Lions, different team, I get it, went 29 rushes for 182 yards. Last year, week 17, on Monday night, went 33 for 152. Lions offense, different than the Bears offense. Jared Goff, that everything was playing at such a high level last season, the past 2 seasons for the Lions. And obviously there's the drop off this year, mainly due offensively to Ben Johnson being gone. You have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery with that Lions line, a little bit different than DeAndre Swift and Kyle Manengai, and a rebuilt Bears offensive line, although a good offensive line by the Bears. Slow down the running game, make it harder for the offense overall and more difficult for Caleb to beat them. I don't know if the Niners can do it. The run defense has been hot cold, right? Looked good against the Colts and Falcons and Panthers. 3 good teams that can run, 3 teams that can run the ball well. They're not good teams, but 3 teams that can run the ball well. But then gets eaten up by the Titans and other teams that have kind of put it to them. So Kyle knows it's coming. Saleh knows it's coming. Ben Johnson's not going to hide it. But if they can slow down that Bears running game, it's going to put the defense in advantageous situations to defend a slightly mobile, but overall inaccurate quarterback. Offensively, they have to commit to the run. 30 plus, volume matters. Productivity matters to a certain degree, but if you go 30 for a $110, I'm fine with that. Under 4 yards a carry or $110 plus, 33 for 120, totally okay with that. And I think unless this gets into a shootout, it'll be interesting to see how much Kyle wants to slow down the game or how much Ben Johnson wants to slow down the game, right? If either running game starts working and starts clicking, it's going to take time off the clock and prevent the opposing team's offense from stringing together drives, especially if either team starts scoring quickly, repeatedly. We'll see how Kyle and Johnson and Saleh and Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator of the Bears, decide to adjust and attempt to take something away from the opposing offense. So committing to the run, and lastly, surprising even when I kind of sketched this out, feed Jake Tonjes and feed Ricky Pearsall if he plays. McCaffrey's going to get his. Brock's going to spread it around. Without Pearsall, there's going to be an uptick in targets for Jennings. Hopefully for Kendrick Bourne again. Robinson stays involved. If Pearsall is out and Jordan Watkins is active, he's not going to do anything. Neither will really Sky Moore offensively, although he's gotten a little bit more involved in the offense the past couple of weeks. But the absence of Kittle cannot be a glaring hole in the offense. You're gonna feel it running the ball, right? And I'm not such a wild believer in George Kittle making such a monumental difference in the run game. Does he make a difference? Sure, of course, but it's one player, one blocker. When you still have a tight end in there and Juice and Trent and Pooney and an offensive line that is much maligned, but I think overall performs better than a lot of the media forget the media, than the fandom gives them credit for. But at least what Kittle provides in the pass game, I would love to see Tonjes 5 or 6 targets. And out of those, if he can get 3 or 4 receptions, now he's not going to go like what was Kittle last week. He's like 8 receptions or something. 1 or 2 touchdowns, whatever he had. Good game. You're not going to get that level of productivity, but if you can get half, I'll take half. Give me 4 receptions for 45 yards, because otherwise, I mean, we want more than that. I'm settling for 4 for 45 or for 4 for 40, whatever. Because historically, it's been a 0. Anything's better than 0, but we want as far away from 0 as possible. But somewhere, the midpoint is 0 on what Kittle generally does. If he can be in the 40 range, 4 receptions. If they feed him more, that's great. And same for Pearsall. If he's able to go, then I'm expecting that he might not be 100% because he came out and said like he's going to have to play through the knee stuff. It seems like the Niners are a little bit more cautious with bringing players back, but that's also coupled with the fact that they underestimate injuries anyway, right? Tatum Bethune not going on IR, and he missed 5 weeks. So if Pearsall's going to play, feed him. If he can play, that means that his route running should be on point. He should be, we'll say, fast enough, even if he's not going to be up to his normal miles per hour. And again, by the time you read or listen to this, listen to this or watch it, you may know if Pearsall is going to be out, but Kittle's going to be a game time decision, which isn't really a game time decision because, again, of the whole Braden Willis elevation. And they wouldn't be elevating anybody in Pearsall's absence. If he doesn't play, it would just be Watkins getting the nod, which is the same thing as basically not having a receiver out there. Nothing against him. It's just a rookie and he's been buried, and I don't anticipate him being a difference maker. Prediction time. Pretty evenly matched game. Teams. 3-point spread at home means no spread on a neutral field. Evenly matched game. I could honestly see this going either way. In some weird ways, this game worries me more than the Seahawk game. Division games you could look at 2 ways. One, you know your opponent really well, so you can game plan for them. And the Niners have beaten Seattle already in Seattle. 2 different teams next week than they were week 1. The Niners saw the Bears last year, but a completely different Bears team, offense, and defense. The next thing I'm going to say, I think people, when you hear this, you may throw something. If you had to pick a game to lose, this would be the game. And here's why. If the Niners beat the Bears and lose to the Seahawks, then they're the number 6 or 7 seed and they're playing in the wild card round, right? I know we're all shooting for the number 1 seed. Just hear me out. If the Niners lose this game, then Kyle has a reason to sit Brock, Trent, Kittle, McCaffrey, any other players that Jennings, if you want, that you deem valuable and you want to put in bubble wrap. Demo, Renardo Green again, if he's got like that neck issue. Now you can't sit everybody. This isn't a college roster, but you can sit them for the Seattle game, knowing that especially if the Rams win on Monday night, the Niners are going to be a game behind the Rams, and it would just be impossible for them to get the 1 seed, or statistically very, very difficult. Unlikely. I'm going to go with impossible, being realistic. The Niners lose this Bear game, they can sit players against Seattle, treat that as a bye week, and then go into the postseason as either the 6 or 7. Now, if they lose against the Bears and sit against Seattle and the Packers win their last 2, then the Niners are the 7 and the Packers are the 6. So you can consider that also. And that may mean going to Chicago, which I don't think is a scary place to go. Of course, the Niners can't get the 5 seed. We want the 1. I get it. They can't get the 5. It's either going to be the Rams or the Seahawks. And sorry, something just happened with my monitor. The 7 may go to the Bears. I'd rather go to the Bears than Philly. The 6 seed may go to Philadelphia. I know the Bears beat Philadelphia, but I'd rather go to Chicago. They're more evenly matched with the Niners than maybe Philly is, just with Philly's defense and their O-line. And I know the offense is struggling, and Philadelphia, just horrible place to play. Fans, field, all that good stuff. All that being said, my prediction is Niners 27-23. Like, they are on the verge they can taste the number 1 seed and how important that would be with the Super Bowl at Levi's and not having to go anywhere else throughout the playoffs. And I think they're gearing up for it. The Kittle injury is so unfortunate. Like I said, I don't think he's going to play. It's so unfortunate. And Pearsall to a lesser degree, but they've been playing so much this year without Pearsall. And you can say they've played so much without Kittle, and Jake Tonjes has stepped up. So I feel pretty decent about that. But I think the Niners win this 27-23, right around the spread. Good game, close game. And if it goes the way that I'm thinking, then it sets up a really big Sunday night, probably Sunday night game between the Niners and Seahawks. Even if the Seahawks lose to the Panthers, the Niners would need to win that game to get the number 1 seed, because I'm sure the Rams are going to obliterate Atlanta, and the Rams are at home against the Cardinals in week 18. The other game that they could put on would be the Broncos and Chargers. They could flex that to Sunday night, but the number of Broncos and Charger fans out there, I think, are dwarfed by the number of Niner and Seahawk, or at least Niner fans. I know Seattle's got a good fan base too with the 12s. But I think the Niner Seahawk game would be the Sunday night game. So we will see tomorrow night. We will know for certain, but again, be on the lookout for any practice squad elevations to potentially tip the hand of what Kittle's status is going to be. But I think the elevations will be Braden Willis and Eli Apple. So that's going to conclude the podcast for today. Like always, I want to take time to thank you that you take time out of your busy schedule to make us part of your viewing or listening routine. A belated Merry Christmas to those of you who celebrate. We'll be speaking again before the new year, so I won't wish you guys a happy New Year's yet. Next podcast probably going to be Monday or Tuesday, hoping for Monday, to recap everything that happened Sunday night, Niners, Bears, whatever you guys are doing between now and then. Enjoy some of the bowl games that are on, basketball, hockey, whatever else you are watching, but we'll be glued to the TV Sunday night, where the Niners should beat Chicago 27-23. Whatever you guys are doing between now and then, stay happy, healthy, and safe, and we'll talk soon. Take care.